I need to get into a lighter weight class because you're starting to get guys like Georges St-Pierre who walks around at 188, who is in reality a small welterweight. Rory McDonald, 198 to 200 as he walks his walk-around weight. People understand that the weight cutting these guys are doing, they have it down to a science where they're using IVs, they're using everything to hydrate themselves. They have nutritionists, they have people planning their meals. It's no longer the guy that has a part-time job and he's fighting and trying to make it in one career or another. It's really guys have it down to a science when it comes to the training, the boxing, the nutrition. It's a different world out there. So yeah, you're completely right. If you don't choose your weight class properly, you can be in a real disadvantage.
And fans love to see winners, and the way to ensure victories is, like we mentioned, to fight in the right weight class. And right now we'll see if these guys are fighting in the right weight class. 170-pound matchup. Yannick Duval set to take on Guy Poulin. Right now, Duval making his way to the cage. Ready to showcase his skills as he makes his professional mixed martial arts debut. And in his corner, Ultimate Fighter reality show veteran James McSweeney. And there we see McSweeney, known for his stand-up abilities. Duval, only 19 years of age.
We got a 13-year difference between these two fighters. We got Poulin making his MMA debut at the age of 32 years old. So what that's telling me is he's probably got a long history of a kickboxing background, of an amateur background. He's probably got a bunch of stuff going on that we don't know about, because since it is his first MMA bout, it's really hard to tell what he's all about.
And we're just being told now that this matchup is actually a 185-pound matchup between Brad Morgan and Dave Bedard. And it's Brad Morgan who comes to the ring first.
I was wondering why he didn't match his photo.
Yeah. And it's James McSweeney in his corner. And by the look on his face, he is not concerned with what is going to go down, as he is set to take on Montreal-based fighter Dave Bedard. And Mark, talk about the psychological advantages or disadvantages of fighting in front of your hometown crowd. Of course, there's the energy involved in feeding off of them, but at the same time, there's a lot of nerves because you don't know what's going to happen.
Well, you obviously didn't watch the Montreal Canadiens versus Toronto yesterday. PK Subban fighting, playing in front of his hometown crowd of Toronto sucked. So it can play it can play to your advantage. It can play against you. Honestly, you really got to phase the crowd out. If you're fighting in Japan, like if you're fighting in the US, you're fighting in your hometown, it really should not be a factor. You have to use it as a positive. Anything. If the crowd is against you, use that as a positive. If the crowd is cheering for you, feed off their energy. You really can't let that be a factor. Your 10 to 12 week preparation, your corner man, that's all that should be running through your head. The game plan you put in place, the hard training you've done, this is just an extension of your training. Training ends when you touch gloves and you're ready to fight. That's when your preparation ends. So honestly, to me, home, away, doesn't make a difference.
The next bout of the evening is in the Instinct middleweight division. This bout is proudly brought to you by Mike Ultra Club. Ce combat est prévu pour 3 rounds de 5 minutes. This bout is scheduled for 3 rounds of 5 minutes. La
This is going to be Dave Bedard's third pro fight. He's had no fights in 2011. He's coming off 2 wins in 2010 in the local Montreal scene MMA. So let's see what this guy's got. I don't know much about him since he's never been in the mainstream events. This is his debut in an international big event like this, and he's fighting a guy that has no experience. But again, as we saw earlier on, no experience doesn't mean much.
Morgan, nothing to lose here in Montreal, and he comes out swinging. The pressure is off. Morgan fighting in enemy territory. Just wants to get this first professional victory under his belt, and he looks confident as he swings away, hammering at Bedard, who closes the distance, tries to control that clinch. And look at Brad Morgan swinging for the fences.
Bedard's trying to turn this into a street fight. Brad Morgan's doing a very good job moving his feet, not engaging with the brawler, but more picking his shots.
Morgan, dropped down to the ground just as we said that. Bedard lands a strike that drops Morgan down to the canvas. Let's see what type of jiu-jitsu skills the American has.
Well, he's crawling his guard up nice and high, very wisely, trying to take his time, buy his time, get his senses back.
And Morgan did have his hands quite low and wide. Will he make the adjustments if the fight goes back to the upright position and he's targeting that leg?
He's looking for a leg lock there.
Manages to look for the single leg just to get himself back to the upright.
Nice sit through.
Beautiful job, and Bedard falls down to the ground. A little mouse under the right eye.
Bedard kind of swung himself onto the ground. That was more of a slip than anything, but it is putting him in foreign territory. I don't know what kind of groundwork he's got, but I tell you what, Morgan, to me, as a jiu-jitsu guy, he stepped right into half guard, stepping into guard. From his stance at the beginning, he reminded me more of a Brazilian jiu-jitsu style fighter. So let's see what he's got here.
Bedard trying to control the posture, grabbing onto the back of the head of Morgan, but Morgan hammering away now on Bedard. Bedard in big trouble,
and out.
That is it. Round 1, it is over. Brad Morgan makes his mixed martial arts debut a successful one. And we see him having his arm raised by UFC veteran James McSweeney.
Great fight, very, very good fight. And there, that's what we're talking about earlier on, about fighters being prepared. I mean, Bedard came into this fight very aggressive, but with very, very little ground skills. When he was on his back, he was a turtle. You don't need to be a great ground fighter, but be able to protect yourself. I mean, there's a guy trying to hit you sitting in your guard. I find that disappointing sometimes.
Right now, Bedard still looks dazed. Slumped over there as the officials trying to help him out so he can gain his bearings.
Yeah, he's still on Queer Street. He can't,
For Bedard, it wasn't supposed to go down this way, but you know what they say in mixed martial arts, anything can happen.
Here you see, he's got no defense. He's just he ended up opening his guard at one point, didn't move his hips, kicked away, but did nothing with it. And he just became a sitting target at that point. Didn't protect himself, and then at this point, he was looking away. And that shot was what finished it right there. Good job, the referee, sticking his nose in there, breaking up that fight at a good time.
And you'd expect that by the look on Morgan's face that he actually just lost the fight. Although we do see a little bit of a smile now.
I mean, you're always concerned for your opponent, right? No matter what, like we were mentioning before, it is, as much as people call this barbaric, it is a gentleman's sport. People care about each other in this sport, so you never want to see someone in that bad a shape. You wish that all the fights could end. You win by submission, you win by knockout, but you get up and you're in just as good shape as you were before the fight started. It
must be a thrilling feeling for Morgan to get his first professional mixed martial arts victory under his belt and start his professional career, and who knows where it will take him. Brad Morgan getting it done in sensational fashion. So he'll have a highlight from his very first fight.
Yeah, honestly, that was a very good fight. He did everything right. His striking wasn't too bad. His ground game was nice. He was aggressive. He doesn't seem to be worse for wear. He did get a good shot, went down, recovered nicely. I like him. I think this kid's got talent. Can you guys let us know who the next fight is since the schedule has been changed? Daniela's name.